Having a wonderful day. It is so good to see all of you. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I am a finance professor. You guys know this, maybe you don't. And my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia, is here with me, and she is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And Pillow Talk is a podcast we created because we were having such interesting conversations against our pillows that we thought, well, maybe there might be some people who will be interested in hearing what two black professors have to say when they absolutely love the shit out of each other. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well. As you come in, a shout out what city you're from. Let us know what city you're coming from. Also, I want to remind you that we put all the Pillow Talk episodes on Spotify and Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. So if you go and you look for the Dr. Boyce breakdown, you can not just get the Pillow Talk episodes, but you get to hear me breaking down ways to build your family wealth, things like that, things that we have going on in the Black Business School, in our Black Financial Therapy Department that we created. In the Black Business School, we decided to bring together the best financial experts and the best therapists in the Black community to figure out what psychological barriers are keeping us from building Black wealth. So give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. Let me know if you can hear me all right. And I see Yashika is from Houston, Margate, Florida for Jan. I see Mrs. Bernard out of Marietta, Georgia. Michelle Reed from Chicago. She says hello. Hello to you too. Rolanda from Nashville. Sly Carter out of St. Louis. Lorna says ATL in the house. ATL in the house. Good to see everybody. All right. So let me just jump in and ask my lovely wife. How you doing today, baby?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very well. I'm sad that I can't be with you. We are out of town from each other, so that is why we are doing this video through StreamYard as opposed to with us normally laying on, like literally laying against our pillows and talking. But besides that, though, I'm doing pretty well.
You are? That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't talk to you today. So this is my first time talking to you. I saw that you called me and I missed your calls. I'm real sad about that.
Well, you were busy. You're busy with momming it up
I'm
and
momming it up and I'm a college professor today. I've been grading papers since early this morning, boys.
Well, let me say this. I saw the interview you did recently with Crystal Taylor. Her podcast is what's called the Get Hard Chick
Go
podcast.
hard, chick.
Go hard, chick. Go hard. Oh, I don't know if you had to go hard or get hard. I guess it's a little bit of both. Yes. So sorry. Maybe there's a Freudian
Wait,
slip.
get hard. What are you talking?
Well, I said it was get hard chick and it's go hard chick. So I know, stop making me to a pervert now. Anyway, but yeah, I saw you and you were interviewing her and you were talking about something that actually relates to our topic with DJ Twitch, and we're going to get to that, aka Stephen Boss. And you were talking about mental health and you were talking about Black women in particular. And I think everybody should go look at that podcast. It's on Fly Newbie and Queen TV. I'll put the URL on the screen if everybody wants to see it. But you and Crystal really had a great conversation, and we'll get to DJ Twitch in a second because that's really what's bringing us here. But really, it's the mental health aspect. So, do you want to sort of summarize? I listened to the interview; I was really fascinated by it. And one thing that you talked about that I'd love to address real quick is you talked about the importance of people taking care of themselves. You were talking particularly about Black women, but I think that applies across the board. Did you want to give a couple of thoughts on that?
Yeah, I had a good conversation with her because she basically focuses in on total body transformation. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm transforming my body. But no, after interviewing her, she really meant, total transformation in terms of your mindset, in terms of self-care, in terms of how can you give in the way Black women we do? How can we give when we haven't poured into ourselves first? And it was a really nice reminder of such, because right now is a time at the end of the semester. I am in the crunch of things. It is a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, just a lot going on right now. And I'm happy to say I had a massage today. I took a time out for self-care and I didn't feel guilty about it. And that was the biggest thing. It's just like when we put ourselves first, sometimes we'll feel bad about it because we're needed and we're pulled in so many different directions. And sometimes we need to say, no, I can't do that. My plate is full. I cannot take on yet another thing. And and I thought that was a really cool interview.
Yeah, I liked it too. And I think it actually relates to the topic that brought us together today. DJ Twitch from the Ellen DeGeneres show. And I'll put by the way, everybody, that URL to where you can watch that interview between Dr. Alicia and Crystal Holmes, aka the Go Hard Chick podcast. It's at flynubianqueentv.com. We have about 400,000 women that have subscribed to that channel, mostly women. There's a lot of men in there too. And it's a great place to go if you want to hear the voices of Black women. So we actually invested real Black people money, real money from our pockets to build these platforms, because we believe in the importance of building and developing Black-owned intelligent media, right? You got to have a counter to the BET nonsense and stuff like that. And so we're doing it. We're getting it done. We have millions of subscribers across the board on different platforms. So flynubianqueentv.com, so you can go check out the interview. And so let me ask you all this. Give me as you hit the thumbs up button, and subscribe, I'd like to ask everyone, give me a yes or no. How many of you have been following what happened with DJ Twitch, aka Stephen Boyce? Did anybody else sort of follow this and sort of see what was going on with this brother and what happened with him? He took his own life, and it was very sad. And I was really surprised, Alicia, by how many people were really moved by this man. It seemed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know anything about him. I don't watch the Ellen DeGeneres show, at all. It's just not. I'm not in their target audience, I guess. But this guy really had a huge impact. What did you know about him? Did you know who he was when all this happened?
Yeah, I had heard of him mostly because Tay Tay is in dance. She does competitive dance, and he is very well known in the dance world and community. And I know a lot of the kids in our neighborhood, Boyce, went to some of his clinics. So they were posting on Facebook pictures with him, with DJ Twitch, because they're at these dance conferences and these dance workshops and clinics and stuff. He's led several clinics, so he's very well known in the dance world. And so we have a big dancer in our family, and so that's pretty sad.
Yeah. Well, Tay Tay is our youngest, and AKA Taylor. Tay Tay is the nickname I gave her. Yeah, I call her Tay Tay and Tater, and so I get to be her bonus dad. She has an awesome father, and I work with her bonus dad, and we're raising this young lady, and we're very proud of that. And so Tater, Tater is the one who told you about DJ Twitch and what. Yeah, and I was really impressed. I mean, it just seemed like he brought a lot of joy to a lot of people. And you and I started talking about it, and you showed me. I don't know if you sent me I think I sent you the video, because we send each other stuff all day long.
No, I sent it to you last night.
You sent it to me. Okay, I get it mixed up. I know you and I sent yeah, we send stuff back and forth to each other all the time. And you had sent me that video of him dancing. That like he was the day before he passed, he was doing this really happy video with his wife, and it looked like he didn't have a care in the world. It looked like the happiest man in the world. And then a day later, he apparently takes his own life. And you said that this reminded you of the movie Smile. And do you want to kind of talk about that? And I'll put an image up so everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the movie Smile. We talked about that several months ago, about how people kind of smile through their pain, and you never know, they're suffering in silence. And when I watched that video, I think I must have watched that video about 5 times, and I'm looking at the video to see, what did I miss? What did everybody miss? Were there any signs in there? And I don't think so. I think he was really, what happens that reminds us of the movie Smile was that he was a high functioning person. He seemed like he was involved in his kid's life. He was there with his wife. He's dancing and smiling and very active on TikTok and very active on Instagram, I think, but I know his TikTok account, he's really active on there. He's very high functioning, but underneath it all, he was suffering.
Okay, so and just in case you all don't know, the movie Smile it's a horror film, but it's really it's really an analysis of therapy and the human condition disguised as a horror film. That's the way I would describe it. It was scary, and it basically had these scenes of people with killing themselves, cutting their own throats, or doing terrible things to themselves with a big smile on their face. And what I realized through the movie was, I said, wait a minute, this is all about therapy. This is about how many of us go through life struggling, and we have a big smile on our face the whole time. I don't know, does anybody know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever gone through that? And I'm really even thinking specifically about Black women, like I think for men, we maybe we put on the tough guy face, right?
Yeah.
Like so we don't need any help. But for women, you see a lot of women that are there for everybody. Tell me if you know somebody like that, or if you are that person. You're there for everybody. You're lifting everybody's spirits. You're carrying energy, and it's like you're wearing a mask. And beneath the surface, there's a lot of struggle, a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort you're experiencing, and for some reason there's no way or a process for releasing that or dealing with that. Can you talk about that a little bit? You've been a therapist for a long time now, 25 years, I guess. Can you talk about that in terms of what you've seen from your clients and how pervasive this kind of phenomenon might be?
Well, the problem is that a lot of us just don't know that that's what we're experiencing. Something's not right. A lot of us don't have the language or don't have the person to talk to be able to process all of that, because you have some of this traumatic things that happen to you. And by the way, no one uses the word trauma. Like, no one walks around and says, no normal, like regular people don't walk around and saying, I was traumatized. Like, people don't have that type of language unless they're in therapy somewhere where someone can listen to their story and say, that's trauma. A lot of us don't recognize and don't understand that all of these complicated feelings that you have is from sadness and depression. And a lot of us bury it away, and we don't even know that that's what we're doing. I mean, think about it. In our community, it's totally acceptable to drink alcohol, to be reckless, to use drugs in a way. And that's also an avenue to cover up a lot of the pain and stuff that we're feeling inside.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I remember, in addition to, doing all the other things you've done, just in case y'all want to know, I got a really active, productive wife. I mean, I'm not kidding. And it's awesome to be married to an intelligent Black woman. You read 20, she reads 22 books a year. She'll never tell you all this, but I'm gonna brag because I think we need to brag about our wives. Men, we don't do that. She reads 22 books a year. I'm very proud of you for that. You have been a licensed therapist for a really long time, more than a couple of decades. You're a full professor of social work. Very few PhDs become full professors. Very few people get PhDs. Very few Black people get PhDs. About 1% of the population has a PhD, and a small percentage of the PhDs become full professors. And also on top of that, just to add on top of that, you recently went through a training to become a certified clinical trauma professional. And I thought that was really cool, because when we built out the Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School, that idea came from you, because you and I, as she's learning, like I'm learning from her, like she's literally passing that on to me, everything she learned, and the things I learned, get passed on. And I remember you educating me on trauma and what trauma looks like, and the ACEs score and all that. So can you define for everybody here, what is trauma? Like, what's a simple way to define what it means to be traumatized?
Okay, so trauma is when something happens to you, and it could be traumatic. So traumatic things can happen to, let's just take 10 people. And suppose something traumatic happens. Maybe 6 of those people will walk away with being traumatized by what happened to them. So it all depends on the individual and how you interact with an event, something that happens to you that never should have happened to you, and it violates you in some way, and you experience this. And if you don't have an avenue to talk about it, if you don't have an avenue to kind of process what's happened to you, it can get locked in your body as traumatic. It's something that's trauma. So trauma is things that happen to you that shouldn't have happened to you, and you're not able to process it properly. It's also things that should have happened to you that didn't happen to you. So suppose you're younger and you had a bad day at school, and were you left when you came home from school? Did you have somebody that you could talk to about what you were experiencing? Maybe not. If you didn't have anybody to help process some of those things, you're just left alone in your thoughts and feelings, and you needed help trying to figure out all of these complicated feelings and thoughts and emotions that children feel. So when you were younger growing up, you should have had somebody to protect you. You should have had a nice, safe space of which you can talk about what's going on with you. And not only do you need this as a child, but you also need this as an adult. And I think for many Black men in particular. And that's why I think that this whole DJ Twitch thing is really fascinating, is because, you know, a lot of times men don't feel comfortable having that sort of safe space where they can kind of get things off their chest, where they can talk about troubling things that's happened to them, and they go around and they could be left alone in their feelings and not have an avenue of which to express it. It's not that somebody needs to fix your feelings. It's not that somebody needs to fix the situation. It's just having a place to vent and having a place that you feel comfortable enough talking to. So that's sort of the biggest thing. And you walk around with this sort of angst in your body, and it comes out with depression and anxiety. You can become very jumpy. You can perceive the world as threatening because you've had to, in some ways, you're left alone protecting yourself. So yeah, that's kind of trauma in a nutshell, and what it happens to us and how we can carry that along with us. And then we're not able to regulate our emotions properly, and we have difficulties in relationships. It in some ways, it's like we're all kind of walking around, not all of us, but people who experience this with post-traumatic stress syndrome. You know, we all have this PTSD, individuals that aren't able to kind of process this, and it makes it very difficult to interact with people, to go to work. And sometimes you have to put up this veneer. And then when I look at DJ Twitch, that's what I'm wondering. Like, he's putting up a veneer, covering up. And that's why when I mentioned to you, this is the movie Smile. You know?
Well, by the way, everybody, I'm speaking with my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins, and you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. If you guys could take a moment, hit the thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we go live. We promise we won't waste your time. We'll either make you smarter, make you richer, or make you more fulfilled in life. That's our goal. Our goal is to improve your life. So hit the notification bell. And also, don't forget that you can catch all the podcasts on this platform on Spotify or anywhere you get podcasts. Just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. And also, if you want to find out more about what Dr. Alicia does as a therapist, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That URL is right there on the screen. All right. So I want to ask everybody, give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no. Tell me if you know of a Black man who drinks too much. Give me a yes or no if you know about a Black man who drinks too much. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Some of y'all got relatives, husbands, brothers that are doing that. All right. So after you put your yeses and nos in the chat, give me a yes or no if you know a Black man who has sex with everything that moves. Mm-hmm. Give me a yes or no if you know about any Black man who has sex with just anything with legs, that's breathing. Okay, definitely anything with a big booty and maybe even a small booty, right? Give me a yes or no if you know a Black man who maybe struggles with drugs, maybe smokes weed all day long, right? Right? Okay, and I can keep going down the list, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because, and I want to ask you about this, Dr. Alicia. In 2017, when you and I went to Guyana, and we had to go to Guyana because you got a Fulbright. And by the way, I'm still bragging on my wife, y'all. She was the first faculty member in the history of her university to ever get a Fulbright fellowship. And so you were going to Guyana. And I remember you called me and said, "Hey, Boyce, I got the fellowship. I'm going to Guyana." I'm like, "You're going to Ghana?" And you said, "No, Guyana." I said, "Where is Guyana?" "It's in Africa, right?" She said, "No, it's in South America." And I had to find it on the map. I'd never been there. I'm not going to lie. But I was like, wherever it is you're going, you're not going by yourself. I'm going to be there because we need to, I just need to make sure you're good. So we go to Guyana. And the reason you went to Guyana was because they had a problem, like ever since what I would call the Jim Jones problem. I don't think we have to necessarily use the S word. I just, for the algorithms on YouTube and all that, I don't want to be bringing anybody down. But they had a big problem with people taking their lives ever since the Jim Jones Kool-Aid event took place in the 1970s. And this has been something that they've been kind of grappling with as a country. Now, I have a theory, though, on people taking their lives. I would be willing to bet you that if you were to calculate the number of people that, blatantly took their lives, drugs, a gun, whatever, or too many pills or whatever, they, like blatantly took their lives, and compare that to the number of people who are slowly killing themselves through excessive drug use, excessive alcohol consumption, incredibly risky behavior. I bet you that the second group would be much, much higher. And my point that I'm getting at here, it was long-winded, but I want you to respond to this, is that it seems to me like there's really almost like a silent way that we can kill ourselves if we're not dealing with our trauma or sort of carrying this depression around, and we may not even see it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like that because that list you just provided, and there's some others. It is called a slow suicide. You know, it is considered a slow suicide, and I think that Black men in particular need to have avenues of which they can express how they feel instead of feeling trapped and hopeless, and they feel like they're by themselves, they're carrying around all of this pain, and they have all these expectations on them. I can't imagine the pressure that was on DJ Twitch or a lot of Black men have a lot of pressure on them, and they're left alone. They get very moody. You know, these are signs of a slow suicide, you know, and they involve themselves in these very, very risky behaviors. And what you listed was risky behaviors, and it's a sign of not being able to cope with what's going on with symptoms of PTSD, depression, anxiety, all of these things. Yeah, it was a very good point you brought up, Boyce.
Okay, and you know what's interesting is, and in a minute, I want to share my screen in a second and pull up an image that I think is going to be familiar to most of you, because this is actually my first introduction to the idea of silent suicide. And let me show you. It actually came, you know, we always say hip hop is the reason I talk about hip hop is because it actually shapes the thinking of a lot of people, and myself included. That's why it's very important for us as Black people to not let people put terrible things in the minds of our kids. But there was this guy that's on the screen right now. How many of y'all know the face of this man on the screen? Anybody know this guy? All right. So the reason I pulled up Pac is because Pac had a song called "Only God Can Judge Me." Anybody remember "Only God Can Judge Me Now"? Anybody remember that? And there was one verse in that song that always stood out to me, that stood out for literally 25 years. And it was a verse that said, no more hesitation. Each and every Black male's trapped. And you wonder why we're suicidal, running around strapped. So basically, he said exactly what you're talking about. It sounds like he said, we all feel trapped. And because we feel trapped, we become suicidal, and we don't necessarily directly kill ourselves. We just do things that are going to get us killed. And that was really deep, you know, to me, because it coincided with other information I took in about mental health through the years. I'm a big believer in mental health. I'm telling you, mental health is so important for you. And I remember reading somewhere where they were studying depression by studying rats. And they found that rats that were trapped were more depressed than the rats that weren't. And they measured depression with the serotonin in their brain. So when they put the rats in a situation that they were locked in, like where they just couldn't get out and they were going through a lot of pain and couldn't control it, had no control over their lives, they would get very, very depressed. But when they felt empowered, when they felt like they had a way out, that depression went down. So I want to ask you all this question as I take Pac off the stage. How many of you can identify with that feeling of feeling trapped? You know, that feeling of, you know, like your situation sucks. It's terrible. You're trapped. You can't do anything about it. You know, you're broke. You can't fix it. Your family drama. You don't know what to do. Right? Anybody feel that way? Right? A lot of us. Give me a yes in the chat if you've ever felt this way or you know what I'm talking about. And part of the reason I'm such a big believer in preaching to you guys about empowerment and saying, look, you can do it. The information is out there. You got to go look for it. You got to try. The reason I do that is because no matter what your situation is, your mental health tends to be better when you are able to at least buy into the idea that there's something you can do. You know, and I'm a big advocate. You know, when we created the Black Financial Therapy Department of the Black Business School, I partly did that also because I'm just such a big advocate in therapy. And that's one thing you can do. You know, when I saw the thing with Twitch, babe, I'm gonna be honest with you. The man in me got a little bit sad. You know, the father in me was like, come on, dude, you got kids. You know, like, come on, man, how could you got children, right? But then I have to accept the fact that I'm thinking about this from a rational mind, right? And I imagine that you can feel free to fill in the blanks on this. You're the expert on suicide. But you know, I imagine in his mind he didn't see it that way, right?
Mhm.
But I'm sure he loved his kids, and I'm almost thinking if you can't see that the importance of doing it for yourself, at least do it for the people you love. Like go see somebody, talk to somebody. Like, what are your thoughts on what I just said?
Yeah, I really like how you're talking about the death wish and why don't people ask for help? You know, they don't ask for help because of the shame and the guilt. Another reason why people don't ask for help is that there's such a mistrust of the helping professionals. I
Mm.
mean, I just feel like being a Black female in this position, there's not enough Black men. Like therapists tend to be white and female, you know, and they're really good at what they do, but they have to understand that there's, you know, there's a mistrust of the helping professionals in our community, you know, that y'all are just going to label me as crazy and take my kids away and whatever these thoughts, and some of them are quite valid. Some of these are quite valid thoughts, and but I think it's just this profession is just dominated by white women, and although they are pretty good at what they do, but you just wonder about that cultural competency piece. And I would, there needs to be way more Black men. I know I did, thank you for showing the video I did with James Harris about men in trauma, Black men in trauma. And thank you for putting that up on your platform, because I really think that's important. And individuals like him, we need way more diversity when it comes to the helping professionals, so that people can feel more comfortable. Oh, this person is like me. This person can kind of get me. You know, I think that's also a barrier that a lot of people have. Another barrier that I was just thinking about before we came on was that I'm you know, in talking to people about trauma, it's almost like it's intergenerational. It's just like a normal part of some Black people. They just figure it's a normal part of our life. I had this issue, and my, you know, my parents had this issue, and their parents had this issue. It's almost like it's just you know, although we all have this, it's just seemed to be normalized in our community in a lot of way. And not everybody's looking at it to say, hold on, you have major daddy issues that have been traumatic and you're taking it out on everybody else. You have major mom issues and you're taking it out. Like, this is traumatic. We need to stop the presses and kind of deal with some of this. And what I also, what I'm finding is just that the stigma attached to asking for help and getting help, that's also kind of a barrier. It's like, I need to be able to suck it up because I got family and I got kids that are dependent on me. Although I'm not doing well, I need to be able to just suck it up because I don't have time to be weak. I'm a man. Black men can't be weak. Black men need to be able to push through this. And so that sort of attitude can kind of stop a lot of men from going into therapy. That's why I really love what you're doing, Boyce, and you talking about, I don't know how many people you have influenced, just you being open about that sort of thing, because it's not a weakness to say I need help. It's really a strength to say that I need help. So I really love what you're talking about and what you're doing, Boyce.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And I want everybody to know you're listening to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And I'm a finance professor. My wife is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. Years ago, I wrote a book that you guys can have a free copy of. It's called Financial Lovemaking. And if you go to boyceandalicia.com, you can not only get a free copy of my book, but you can also do our Black Love Challenge. We actually put something together that can help you in your relationships, even if they're not romantic relationships. Managing relationships can be beneficial to you in terms of your wealth, your success, and your overall happiness. So feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. Everybody, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. You're watching Intelligent Black TV today. Our goal is to elevate the conversation and learn a few things. So let's talk about DJ Twitch a little bit more. I just call him DJ Twitch. You know, I know his name is Stephen Boss. I know everybody calls him Twitch. In my mind, he's DJ Twitch, but again, I was just being introduced to his work. And one of the things that you said that I thought was really interesting is you made reference to the fact that I've been really kind of telling people about therapy and the benefits of it. And also as part of that process, you know, I wanted to practice what I was preaching. So I started being open about my own therapy journey, right? Which is kind of difficult because When you start, for a lot of people, when you say you got a therapist, that means either you're weak or you're crazy, you know. And so I just step out and say, look, when I told my this is lady that works with my mother, and I said, well, just so you know, I'm half crazy, but my therapist helps me manage all that. And my wife knows I'm half crazy, and I think a lot of us we live in a crazy world. This world, you live in a crazy world that I think will make you crazy. So I'm gonna ask everybody to do a confession. How many of you, real quick, will confess? Give me a yes in the chat if you are at least halfway crazy, at least half of the time. Give me a yes. All the crazy people stand up. All the fellow people who got the mental. Alicia doesn't like when I use the word crazy, but I'm gonna use it right quick. Y'all know what I mean. Everybody who feels a little crazy, goes a little crazy, done went crazy on somebody, does crazy stuff when people aren't looking. Raise your hand. Admit to that, right? It's okay. It is normal to be abnormal. In fact, it is normal to be abnormal. The more normal you claim to be, the more abnormal I know you probably are because you're trying to hold it in. So my argument, and I see my therapist every week religiously. I married a therapist, so I'm learning therapy. And let me tell you why I'm proud as a Black man to have a therapist, have several therapists in my life that I get to speak with. And I don't feel like this makes me weak at all. It makes me 100% stronger. You know why? Because I don't look at my therapist and my support system as a replacement for my individual strength. It doesn't mean like I don't go for help because I am weak. I go for help because I know I'm stronger when I've got good teammates. I got teammates. Anybody who plays basketball, football, or baseball understands that you can get more wins in your life if you have good teammates. So I look at my therapist as a teammate. I reach out to her and I say, "Hey, I want to pick your brain on this thing I'm dealing with because I need another way to look at it that's going to help me get through it." I'll turn to my wife. I told you I couldn't marry a dumb Black woman. I married a smart one. Well, why? Well, because she's a great teammate. I can turn to my teammate and say, "Hey, I need you to give me another set of eyeballs on this." The people that work for me, they're my teammates. I come to them with the first thing when they say, "Hey, Boyce," because I'm the boss of the company, right? So everybody's like, "Well, we want to find out what Boyce wants." So they'll be like, "Boyce, so do you want to go left or do you want to go right?" First thing I do is I return the question with a question. I say, "What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?" Because I'm collecting this intellectual energy from all my excellent teammates. That is so much better than trying to do everything by your damn self. So don't think of a therapist as some signal that you're weak or weird or something's wrong with you. Think of it as the fact that you're going to be stronger now because you got great teammates. I'll let you kind of respond to that, babe. Please go ahead.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, what you're talking about is that you were able, on some level, to recognize eventually you were able to because you haven't had a therapist your whole life, right? On some level something happened, or you were able to have a certain level of insight into yourself to say, looking back on my life and where I am right now and where I need to be, I think I need to have some support systems in place. And you probably always had some sort of support system, but you've been able to recognize signs that, maybe you have, I don't know what your symptoms were, Boyce, but maybe you had some excessive worry, or maybe you were like, this sort of thing is pretty saddening. I think I need to have like more people around me to support me and that you can talk to about things that you need to get off your chest, because you're a high profile person. It's not like you could just talk to anybody. You really needed, you saw something in yourself of how you need to grow. You personally, Boyce, need to grow. And you've looked at and been able to pull together the teams in your business, in your personal life, with your family and extended family, the proper team of people, so that you can be a better person, because the community needs you, Boyce. We really need you. And so this is great, because we want the best Boyce possible to show up. And I need you as your wife. I need the best possible Boyce in my life. So I think it's beautiful what you're talking about.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I think it's I think that what intrigued me about therapy is the more I'm kind of processing the world, the more I realize that the benefit of really trying to really understand human beings. in human behavior, like, what people do, why they do it, and it's a beneficial skill, so you can kind of figure out, you know, what your next move needs to be, or the best way to repair a relationship, or whatever, like and I learned so much, like just little tactics on like how to have proper empathy when you're speaking to people, or how to make sure everyone's heard, and just little things like that that just make life less frustrating, because I don't know, I mean, I feel like sometimes as Black people we're raised and trained to fight each other all the time, fight each other, cut each other off, cuss each other out, dominate each other, and I don't want to live like that. I want to live in peace and harmony with everybody around me, so that we can all do really good things together. And but that also means, honoring myself by, bringing my best self to the table, uh, creating the right boundaries, just all these little things that just don't happen in a lot of our households. Like, I think a lot of that mental health conversation doesn't occur in the houses of little Black kids. It's like, shut up, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. And based on your definition, like, that alone is traumatic, right? Like, you're crying and somebody tells you, like, stop crying, or I'm gonna give you something to cry about. So that means the more you express yourself, the more I'm going to inflict pain on you. How many of y'all heard that when you were growing up? Like, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. Anybody else ever hear that? That fits the trauma definition, right? Like, you have this thing inside of you and you can't get it out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, being empathetic, you know how I feel about, I feel like us as the Black community need to be way more compassionate and empathetic with each other. It's almost like I don't even, in a lot of different avenues, I don't even feel like white people need to be racist with us anymore. Like, we harbor so much negative thoughts and attitudes about each other that white people just leave us alone and can go on to something else. Like, it has been done. It's complete. Like, the negative stereotypes about Black women that I see online and on social media, it just makes me cringe. And you know how I feel about that. The negative stereotypes and terrible things said and described about Black men makes me cringe. And I think, I think I look at that, and I criticize a lot of that, and I'm like, it's enough of this. It's enough of this self-hatred, internalizing all of these awful stereotypes that were given to us, imported on us. We internalize it and we take it out on each other. And I think we need to bring back more compassion. I think we need to bring back more acceptance and more empathy and more grace to each other. That is completely missing.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's sad, to see, like, why we're even having this conversation. I mean, with this guy, you said he reminded you of Robin Williams,
Yeah,
right? You said Robin Williams.
Robert Williams not too long ago, remember?
Yeah. And you said this is a guy who had a smile on his face his whole life, and then he had these really dark issues, kind of beneath the surface. And and it's just such a tough one, because I also, at the same time, I think about how Black women have the lowest suicide rates of any group of people,
The lowest
if I'm not mistaken, right? And it's interesting that, I think it definitely defies that myth of that, when someone does something like that, they just had to do it, like they had no other, like their mind couldn't think of any other choice. It's so in a way, it's interesting. I'm trying to sort of process and understand it in a way that says, is there a way to be strong enough to face up to those sorts of feelings, while at the same time acknowledging that, that when your mental health is gone, it's kind of not where it needs to be, right? And I even think about, also, when I think about Black women, I wonder what gives them that strength. And I know that Black women also happen to be the most religious group of people in America. And like my mother, like you can't take her Jesus away. She will beat your ass with that Bible, and I wonder if having something like that, like spirituality, is a beneficiary for Black women, as something that they can kind of turn to, you know, even when they're not necessarily getting everything else that they need, but at least with their spirituality, or going to church, the spiritual renewal of that has just sort of this really awesome benefit. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I've seen a lot of Black women just band together. You know, they support each other, they listen to each other, they lean on each other. Like I'm trying to do a healing retreat, and I know it's going to be full of Black women. I'm like, how do we get men to come to this? I really want to retreat. I'm signing up for it. It's a lot of women. Yes, girl, I'm going to do it. A nice spiritual retreat and healing and all of that. You show up, it's just nothing but a room full of Black women that will do that. And so that's why I was thinking, God, maybe I should make it for couples, because I don't know how men are ever going to come along. You know, why would they ever come? You know, they're not going to come unless some lady drags them along. And so, yeah, I think women sign up for that kind of stuff, because on some level they're able to recognize I need rest, I need boundaries. They're just, you know, I'm just talking culturally. I'm not talking everybody is this way, but yeah, way more spiritual. I think we are, and we talk about, we're a little more comfortable talking about things, and we kind of carry the burden of the whole family, the emotional burden of the whole entire family. Everybody comes to me, or they'll come to, you know, a Black woman to rest all of their issues out, and we love it. We love that. So we like being useful in that way.
Well, you know, that's interesting that you say that. And one thing I just thought about as you were talking is, even Black women I know who don't go to church, they're spiritual in some other kind of way.
Oh yeah.
They might not be like the textbook Christian, but they might find something else, you know, that they gravitate toward. And I think that that's really beneficial. I think that when you have something to grab onto that's not sort of tethered to the world and the physical reality around you, it kind of gives you something that just keeps you going. I don't know if it's hope or possibility, or the ability to kind of permeate or make the world a little more permeable in terms of shifting your perspective or whatever, right? And you're right. I believe that people that don't have anything like that are more likely to get stuck in that dark place and just feel like there is no hope and no possibility. Because I would imagine that taking your own life has to have some connection with losing hope, right? If you have hope that things are going to get better, then you just stick around till things get better. And I'm thinking, you're the expert though, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm imagining that if I get to the point where I say, you know what, I'm done, I just got to go. That to me sounds like you lost hope. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about the conference we went to, the Women Doing It Big.
Women doing it big. You got women doing it big.
Yeah, so you got the jingle, right? And so it is, that feels good. I mean, it was a nice sort of pat on the back to all the work that you can do. It was inspiring. I'm like, oh God, there's so many different ways I can grow my business. There's so many different exciting things. Like it was encouraging. You know, situations like that is very helpful. The networking, the getting out. You know, we've been in our houses for such a long time with the pandemic. It's so much nicer to kind of get out and feel more comfortable interacting with people. Most of the vendors, they were all women. Most of them, I think all of them were women doing great things, you know, and writing books and providing services and products and just doing great things. So I mean, we have a lot to be excited about. So that always helps.
Well, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. If you could take 1 second, please, and hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Also, if you'd like to learn about Alicia's therapy practice and her coaching, feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That URL is right there on the screen. And also that retreat, I saw some of you were saying you'd love to go to the retreat. Well, here's a way you can stay connected. If you go to boyceandalicia.com, you can not just get a free copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking, but you can also get on the email list, and we will email you when Alicia and our team put the retreat together. So, and I'll be in attendance. I'll be, you'll be the boss. I'll be the worker.
Because you can get some of the men to come.
You know what? I will come, and I will encourage the men to come, because we've met some really great people. And I just talked to Lamont Rucker, the actor. I don't know if anybody knows Lamont Rucker. He's on Greenleaf and some other. You know Lamont? Do you know Lamont? I'll put his picture up so you can see him. But yeah, but anyway, Lamont Rucker. You'll know his face when I show it to you. But Lamont Rucker Hey, he's doing some really great work. He was introduced to me by Victory Boyd's father, John Boyd, and I'm gonna pull up on the screen so everybody can see him. But John is, but what Lamont is doing, which I think is really great, is he's doing something for Black men. I think it's called like Just Heal Bro or something like that. And
he'd be perfect for this.
yeah. So Lamont, there he is. So I'm gonna take him off the screen so my wife don't get googly eyes. But anyway, I'm kidding. He's a very nice guy.
He
very
is
smart.
attractive.
Yeah, very smart brother, and he is he's doing this thing called Just Heal Bro, where he's getting Black men to get together and talk about their healing and their mental health. And he and I were talking for a while in a session a few days ago. So, and I told him I would join his movement. They're doing stuff in different cities. I said, look, I'll support you 100%. And so maybe he will be a person we can bring to the retreat. And then also,
wait, hold on. Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? You should have told me.
I don't know. I forget. I meet people and stuff. I just forget. It didn't cross my brain until today.
I didn't recognize him from Greenleaf. I don't watch that show, but I'm way more excited about his work with Black men and mental health. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I like talking to him because you know how I am with celebrities. I get, or Hollywood types. You don't know what you're gonna get. You just get some of these lost Negroes or whatever. But he was really down to earth and smart and really understood his mission and his purpose. And I like guys like that. I can relate to guys like that. So we had a great conversation, and I'll mention to him. And then also, you and I met a Black male therapist at the Women Doing a Big conference.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. He texted me. I got to look his name so I can say it properly because I'll feel bad for not saying it. But he was doing some really good stuff when it comes to men. He was talking about Black men and all the healthy. Doug Reed. Doug Reed's his name. Here he is. And Doug Reed was talking about the different areas of Black male health. Okay. And this really applies to women, I think, too. I don't think this is male specific. But you guys are ready? You give me a yes in the chat if y'all ready. Get your pens out. Y'all about finna learn something. Y'all ready? I'm about to give you the 7 areas of Black male health. But I think this can apply to women too. Y'all ready? Give me a yes. Let me know you're ready. Okay, here we go. Financial health, occupational health, spiritual health, social health, intellectual health, emotional health, environmental health. Financial, occupational, spiritual, social, intellectual, emotional, and environmental. So a good checklist for anybody in here that wants to be mentally healthy. How many of y'all want to be healthy? How many of y'all want to do better? How many of y'all want to level up your life mentally or whatever the case may be? Mental health is everything. Give me a yes in the chat if you're committed to this. Do the checklist. Look at every area. Look, how do I feel financially healthy? Do I have enough revenue streams? Is my cash flow strong enough? Do I feel financially secure? Do I have a good relationship with my money? Well, we're doing all that in the Black Business School in the Black Financial Therapy Department. We're helping you with that. Occupational. Do I like what I do every day? How do I feel about my job? If not, what adjustments do I need to make? Spiritual. Where's my spirit? Maybe your spirituality is in the church, maybe it's outside the church, but where is your spirit? And I think that can be intentional. I deliberately every day get up and check my spirit. I try to bring a productive, hardworking, energetic, positive spirit to everything that I do. When I'm on my A game, sometimes I'm not, but I do my best. Social. Are you interacting with people and are you interacting with the right people, right? Like, what about your social circle? Is it big enough? Does it need to be smaller, right? Intellectual. Are you feeding your mind? Are you learning? If you're learning, you're growing. If you stop learning, then then I feel bad for you, right? You can always learn. The internet is a university in your pocket. Like your cell phone has a whole university, a whole Library of Congress is in your pocket. Emotional. What do you need to do to regulate your emotions? I see my therapist. She helps me with my emotions. I check my emotions. My wife will tell me about my emotions. I think about how I'm feeling. Am I happy? Am I sad? Why? And environmental. Lastly, environmental. Do you operate consistently in an environment that feeds into the person that you want to be, or are you in an environment that takes you away from being the person you want to be? Like, so for example, you drop somebody in a penitentiary, that might take them away from who they want to be. They want to be peaceful, kind, and loving, but unfortunately, prison isn't like that. So that's a tough environment to get buy-in. But the good thing about being free is that you have a choice of what environment you want to be in. So I'm going to say this one more time. Somebody type these in so everybody can see it. I see Christina's asking to post the list in the chat, and I'll try to type it in. But somebody can do that for me. I'd appreciate it. It's financial, occupational, spiritual, social, intellectual, emotional, and environmental. Okay, those are the areas. And I want to say thank you to Doug Reed for bringing that list to us. And Doug Reed is a person that I'd like to reach out to about inviting him to your retreat. So boyceandalicia.com. If you guys go sign up there, we'll email you when the retreat is together. Did you have anything to say about that, babe?
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking, I'm just sitting here thinking, like, so much of that can be out of balance in people's lives. And it's so interesting. It's like you really do need to go and think about who you are and who you want to be. And any one of those, that list, any one of challenges in any one of those areas can really put you in a state of sadness. You just feel, can you imagine, any one of those falling apart, how trapped you can feel? I mean, it just reminded me of, if it's not going well, how are you going to have a sense of purpose in your life? How are you going to have, I mean, we all have these gifts that we have that's in us that we feel like we need to give to society. And nothing's more sad than being in a position where you feel stuck and you just can't move forward in any one of those places, areas in your life. If it's not balanced, those 7 areas, if all of those things aren't balanced, then you can't be who and what you want to be. Like how depressing is that? I really love that list. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it too. I mean, I think it's a great, and I think everybody should do that. I mean, just the same way you do maintenance on a car, or maintenance on your house, do maintenance on your mind, and just lay there. Maybe meditation will help. I never learned to formally meditate, but I just sort of shut my eyes.
All the time.
I do exactly. I shut my eyes and I just breathe. And I shut my eyes, I breathe, I think, and I isolate. It works for me, right? And it allows me to figure out who I am, recenter myself, figure out where I am in the world and where I want to be. It's about intentionality, right? And so I think that the good thing about the one good thing that can be salvaged from this tragedy is that this got us really talking about mental health. I've seen a lot of people online talking about mental health. And actually, I'm gonna say this too, though. I want to lay out a theory that is gonna probably sound a little controversial, and I don't want to lay it out in the wrong way. And I hope I can lay it out and still be loved if I say it wrong. I'm not gonna try to say it wrong. I'm gonna try to say it right, but sometimes I just don't do that. But I gotta be honest. You guys know I gotta be honest with you about stuff, right? So I hope it's okay. Give me a yes if it's okay for me to share this and still be loved. I hope I can. I hope, even if you think that boy, she shouldn't have said this, but I got to be honest because I think it's a real conversation for Black people. Now, I'll start with this. So I looked at DJ Twitch's family, right? And he has this beautiful family. And I don't have to tell you, I don't have to say it, right? It doesn't look like he married a Black woman, right? And I'm not dissing this at all. I'm not making fun of this. I mean, Lord, God forbid I ever make fun of, somebody, who's gone through something like this. But, he operated in an interesting world. You're the Black man who's on the Ellen show, right? That's a lot of pressure, but it's sort of in this very white, gay, liberal space, right? You got a wife who isn't Black. So, you're sort of doing things different. Like I know a lot of brothers who would marry. Most Black men marry a Black woman. Most Black men would not really be a fit on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I'm just going to be honest with you, right? And what happens is, and this is not me making fun of him at all. I promise you, I'm just keeping it real. I'm keeping it 100 with you guys. So if I say it wrong, just forgive me. Chalk it up to me, my lack of elegance in saying these things. But think about this now. Every Black man ain't going to be invited onto the Ellen show. Y'all will never see me on the Ellen DeGeneres show. Not that I would expect. If it ever happens, I'll be stunned. I'll be more surprised than you, because that is a space that doesn't really, truly, in my view, accept Black men in our entirety. Right? They will accept Black men despite who we are, as opposed to wanting to be around us because of who we are, right? I know a lot of other brothers around here, Dr. Claude Anderson types, that would never ever fit on that show. They'd say he's too angry, he's too pro-black, he's too mean, he's too this, he's that, and the other, right? So here's what I'm getting at. So you're in this awesome space, you're making a lot of money. Ellen loves him. There's pictures of him hugging Ellen and everything. He's got a wife. She's not black, but she's a beautiful lady. I'm sure she's a great person. But then you got this other side of you. Maybe you got this other part of you that wants to come out too. But y'all know you can't really bring you can't bring that side of your black maleness into the Ellen DeGeneres space, because next thing you know, they start they start distancing themselves, or kind of telling you're a little bit too radical, you're a little too pro-black, you're a little too this, too that. And so my point is, like, I wonder if you get to a point where you feel trapped. I've seen celebrities who go through this, where they feel trapped. They're like, they love me when I'm singing and dancing and smiling, but they do not love me when I keep it real. Look at Will Smith. Will Smith was the most beloved Negro in America when he was getting jiggy with it and smiling and making you laugh and all this other stuff. But the minute he goes up and he goes straight black man on your ass and slaps the shit out of Chris because he's talking about his wife, then suddenly he becomes a very scary guy. They're like, whoa, we didn't know that Will Smith was laying beneath the surface. But black people, we got it. We can, those two realities can exist in our mind. We're like, yeah, we understand the jiggy guy. We also understand the guy who gonna whoop your ass for talking about his woman. White people don't get that. So now you see Will trying to repair all that and climb back into, honestly, what I might call the clown box, right? I follow Will on Instagram. A lot of his Instagram posts are designed deliberately to be very funny, so that he can remind white people not to be afraid of him. So what I'm wondering, I'm not saying this is true with Twitch, because I didn't know this guy, but I wonder if there's something about that can occur when you get carried too far away from your roots and you're in this foreign land where you're not truly accepted in every way, and the people that you come from definitely aren't accepted in that space. And then also, I wonder if there is a self-awareness or a self-knowledge that could be missing that would be beneficial when you're really going through tough times. Like, people who really know who they are and know where they stand, they're gonna be able to kind of handle things a little differently. Like, I had a friend when I was growing up, and I'm gonna stop talking. I know I'm over talking this so that I don't say it wrong, but I probably said it wrong because I'm talking too much. But I gotta say this: I had a friend I grew up with who was different from me. I always said I would marry a black woman, even when I was 12. He liked the white girls. And I remember him saying something that a white girl said to him. A white girl said, she said, "You're cute for a black guy." And I knew at 12, I said, that's an insult. He thought it was a compliment. He said, "Oh, this white girl thinks I'm cute." So when me and him go to college, I'm hanging out with my black friends. He joins the white fraternity. He gets into all the stuff that the white kids are doing. Next thing you know, he's on drugs and he's drinking every weekend, getting locked up and doing all these other stuff, because he was kind of following behind a certain crowd. And I think a lot of it was rooted in his lack of self-knowledge. He didn't see himself as a black man. He saw himself just as this guy that was trying to fit in. So so my point is, and this is what I want to ask you about, babe, and now I'm done talking, I promise, is I wonder if there's something happening there when you take a black man out of his natural space and you put him in this other space that can create the potential for psychological instability, considering how many black people we know that have gone to Hollywood and totally lost it. Look at Chappelle, look at Martin Lawrence, look at all the people that went to Hollywood and said, "I can't take this shit no more." I wonder if he was in that category. Your turn.
Yeah, what you said makes sense to me. We know that out of all the suicides that are completed in the Black community, 80% of them are done from the hands of Black men. Okay, so Black men, I take only 20% are Black women, and what the data is telling us is that the number one risk factor for that is experiences of racism and discrimination for Black men in particular. That is definitely one of the number one risk factors. So you're talking about Hollywood. Hollywood is a system, right? So there's nothing more racist than this particular, all the systems are racist. So, Hollywood is just one of those systems of racism and white supremacy. And you start to think about if individuals, I don't even want to talk about Twitch because I don't know him, but when you in this system where you're dependent on this system, right? And it's a system, right? It's racist and white supremacist system. And you're having instances of how that system operates. Who can you turn to talk about it? Because if you think about how powerful media is, right? So if you go against the media and you speak up, I mean, we've seen example after example, Boyce. You've done pillow talks on it. You've done a ton of podcasts on examples of how Black men their ass has been handed to them by pushing back against this system that doesn't love them. And
well, you and I were on the phone with Kanye West last week, and you see what's going on with Kanye. I mean, that poor guy needs a lot of help. But go ahead, please continue.
He needs so much help. I don't even know where to start with him. But the thing is that this system is not helpful. Is not definitely a place where we can thrive. And yeah, you're on shows such as Ellen DeGeneres when you are non-threatening. Nobody is more non-threatening than Will Smith, right? And Will Smith is from Philadelphia. I mean, that's his whole jingle. Up north, Philadelphia is where I was born and raised. So he knows what the hard lifestyle is like. So after years of suppressing where he was raised, of course it came out. And then now we see yet another example of that. So if you're part of this Hollywood system, you can never say how you really think and what you really feel. There's no avenue. And if you don't have people in your family, let's just say, who totally can understand and can get what you're going through, that can be very saddening, Boyce.
I think that's a good question. Like, does the Hollywood system destroy Black men?
No. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, of course it does. And the Black people in this system, we know enough of them. They're never going to outwardly speak about it. They're going to whisper to each other about what's really going on, but they're going to suffer in silence. They're going to put on a smile, and they're going to drive, and they're going to do ta-da, and they're going to watch their bank account grow, right?
Wow. That is so real, and I'm now, mind you, I don't think we necessarily.
I don't think that's what's going on with this particular person,
right? And we can't speak on the specifics of this, but it's a possibility. I mean, you're a grown ass man. You're 40 years old now. Remember when Twitch took that job, he was I think 25 or 24, something like that. And I wonder. Not to say this played a part in how it all ended. We don't know that, but you change a lot between 24 and 40. And there's a point where maybe you're like, okay, I'm a grown ass man now. I'm not here to be your cute, lovable Black man anymore. And I don't know if he went through that transformation or not, but you see people go through it. Like you see rappers go through that, where maybe they have some success when they're young because they're just doing whatever they got to do. And then they get a little money in the bank and they start to get a little consciousness and awareness and some maturity. And they start to see the impact of what people are doing to their community. And then they start to kind of speak differently. Like with Ice Cube. That's another friend we have who went through that. Go ahead.
They can feel trapped, stuck.
Oh.
Because you're dependent on this system that doesn't love you.
Wow. Well, I don't know. With Twitch, I don't know if there was any indication that he felt that way, right? No. All I know is that when I saw the video and I saw him dancing and stuff, I just kind of remember seeing it and saying, "Wow, I would never want to do that," right? And he was good at what he did, and maybe he really enjoyed it. Maybe that
his gift to the world is the dance. Is the I mean, he's gifted. His gift to the world definitely is that. And I mean, he was probably one of the best from what I'm seeing. He was one of the best out there in that. So I mean, I definitely love the fact that he got in contact and got connected with his gift in life, but we don't know. Clearly there was some sort of pain he was carrying around with him. And for some reason he just felt like there was no way out. And that, ending his life in that way was the only thing he could think of in that moment.
Well, by the way, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. My PhD is in finance. Hers is in social work. And also she's a licensed therapist and a certified clinical trauma professional, amongst other things. And if you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does every day and the clients she sees and things like that, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. The URL is on the screen. And also, if you'd like to learn more about the stuff that I'm doing, feel free to go to my website, boycewatkins.com. We've got lots of family wealth training that you can get there. Actually, there is a free training I just posted up there on how to form a family investment club. So if you go to boycewatkins.com, it's totally free. So just click on that link and you can actually get access to a training I did for the students in the Black Business School on how to form a family investment club. We're really proud of the Black Business School. We've actually trained about over 10 million people on how to get their first share of stock, things like that, well over 500 million views. So we're really proud of what we're doing, and we hope that you will participate. So anyway, so let me, I'll let you get the final word. If I am a person who is having dark thoughts, what do I do? What's some steps I should take?
I mean, I think you need to get some help with you having dark thoughts. You definitely should get some help. Of course, you can always reach out to me, but you don't have to reach out to me. You can reach out to whomever you feel comfortable with. And I think, especially if it becomes intense and it becomes something where you feel like you can't manage it on your own, I think you should get some help. There's help out there. I mean, there's a hotline number, the suicide hotline number. What is that? 788 or 988? I think that's the hotline number.
I will find it and I will put it.
Yeah, but that's it. 988 number. I mean, there's avenues of which you can seek to get some of this stuff off your chest. And I mean, it doesn't even have to be a bona fide helping professional. I mean, it could be just people around you who care about you, who can just sit and listen and not feel like you have to like solve everybody's problem. Yeah, 988. There we go. I memorized that. I'm glad I did. But yeah, I mean, there's just people around you who could just listen to you, listen to what's going on. Find somebody that you feel like you feel comfortable enough with to connect with. I mean, what I don't want people to do is to not ask for help, to feel like they have to deal with their problems on their own. They seclude themselves away from the world, cut themselves off from the world, and just be alone in your thoughts. That's not, that is what I don't want people to do. I would love for people to reach out and to connect with other people. For sure.
I imagine self-medicating is not something you recommend either, like, solving your problems with bottles of wine or hard liquor or drugs. It seems to me like that would make things worse, right?
It makes it worse. Now, you know what? It could numb yourself. It could help in the short term, but in the long term, it's not going to be very helpful.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, it was great to speak to you. Thank you all for joining us. This is Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. You can find the podcast on Spotify or Apple. Just look up the Dr. Boyce Breakdown. We just decided to merge all the content together so you can hear my podcast where I cover financial topics and Black issues. And you can hear my wife's amazing interviews like she did with Crystal Holmes, the Go Hard chick, about the mindset you have to have if you want to lose weight, things like that. And also you can learn more about Alicia's work at coachingwithdralicia.com. Now, you heard Alicia earlier mention that she'd like to do a retreat, a healing retreat. And so if you'd like to be informed when that healing retreat is put together, feel free to go to boyceandalicia.com. Not only will you get information on the healing retreat once you get on the list, once it's ready, but also you can get a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking. You can go through our Black Love Challenge. You can get a whole lot of interesting stuff from us directly. And also another thing that we have that you guys may want to take a look at, as you kind of work with your kids is you guys know in our Black Financial Therapy Department in the Black Business School, we're really, really big on developing mindsets that make our family strong and also make us wealthier. And so we created some financial flashcards for children. So if you'd like to take a look at our financial flashcards for children, go to financialflashcards.com. We have flashcards you can use to teach your kids entrepreneurship, flashcards you can use to teach them basic financial concepts. We also have some flashcards coming out soon on things like credit and real estate. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com if you'd like to take a look and get your kids ahead of the curve. We believe these things are really important. So take it from two college professors. You got to start them early if you want to get them ahead. So God bless you, everybody. Hit the thumbs up button on your way out. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share. Make sure you subscribe. Give me a yes in the chat if you can take this video link and put it on your social media. Share it with other people that need to hear this. And I want to say thank you very much to my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And we are out of here. So God bless you guys. And we'll let you guys know when we do another Pillow Talk. Make sure you hit the notification bell. See you soon. Peace.